Okay, well, we're here at the World Angus Forum in Rotorua 2013. With me is Steve Morris, Professor of Animal Science. Welcome along, Steve. Whereabouts are you based, Steve?
Yeah, well, thanks. I'm based at Massey University, which is the Palmerston North campus, which is a big university, but perhaps more renowned for its animal and veterinary science.
Yeah. How long have you been there, Steve?
Oh, I've been there far too long.
Too long?
Yeah. Since 1980.
1980?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And how do you get all that, how does that information all come out to the farmers, all that work that you're doing there?
Well, our team actively involved in talking at field days.
Yeah.
We're sought after by the Beef and Lamb Monitor field days or the Farming for Profit field days, and our team would be regularly speaking at sheep or beef days. Really, if you think of livestock farming in New Zealand, that's developed from the 1970 onwards, and we're up to 20% of the national kill, about 500,000 Friesian or Holstein Friesian as they're called, our bulls reared for this ingredient or hamburger beef. But it is under threat slightly because the dairy industry is moving towards the Kiwi cross cow, the American influence into the Holstein Friesian itself. I mean, whereas our traditional New Zealand Friesian was perhaps more meatier and more growthier. And then just the expansion of dairy means that they're rearing every heifer calf.
Yeah.
And maybe not rearing as many bulls as they used to.
Yeah.
Although that's price dependent. I mean, if the people who buy them from the rearers are prepared to pay, then they'll certainly rear them.
Yeah. Now, you think it's quite a worry, the big move to dairy, the eggs in one basket business?
Yeah, I do actually. I think the eggs in one basket from an environmental aspect, perhaps from a tourism aspect. I mean, well, you just look at Canterbury and that bad weather that swept through Canterbury. So many of those dairy units were relying on irrigation.
Yeah.
And all that equipment got wiped out overnight. And so we are sort of heading, anything that goes down monoculture is in trouble, I think, long term from an environmental perspective and from an economic perspective, I think.
Yeah. And you said in your speech, we've done a great job with farming sheep, especially over the last 25 years, but the numbers going down as the dairy's just going boom.
Yeah, and maybe that's why sheep has done so well, is that people have reduced their flocks, concentrating on more productive animals. But it's not just dairy. I mean, the dairy's pushed the sheep further back. They've got issues now because, I mean, the sheep are on breeding country, and the beef cattle as well, and so there's not the down country flats. I was talking to a farmer there before. All of the property-based flats, for example, are now dairy or dairy support, and that used to be where all the East Coast hill country cattle, weaners and lambs used to go and get finished. Well, now the farmers are trying to finish them on their own hill country, and it's challenging.
Yeah.
And change the nature of those farms.
Yeah. And challenges, the biggest challenges for the next 10 years, what are we looking at?
Oh, I think it is getting that right, the balance between breeding. We've pushed up lambing percentage. We're trying to improve weaning production, bigger weaners. How do we take them on to the next stage? I mean, other countries and get out of that jam because they put them in feedlots.
Yeah.
Both lambs and cattle. But we've got to think of grass systems. We've got to integrate those breeding properties with finishing properties, and that's the challenge, I think, trying to do that over the next 10 years and getting the balance right.
Yeah, and you say that it's getting the right animals on the right pasture.
Yeah, it is getting the right animals on the right pasture, and perhaps there needs to be some sort of thinking about ownership models. I mean, perhaps the breeder up in the hill country needs to retain some ownership as they pass through the finishing farm all the way to slaughter, and then that keeps an information flow back to the breeder, and maybe that then will enable it to happen.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Steve.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.